So today we'll clarify to how to prove a particular problem to be uh, NP complete and in particularly the concept of NP hardness. Okay, so I think I am audible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So you see, while studying this chapter, you try to grasp how much is possible at a time. Sometimes some people feels it is bit of difficult, so that's why I try to slow down the pace. The first we talk about there are two class of problems, that is P and NP. Okay, so P is a class of problem that we have a polynomial or non-polynomial time algorithm. So all these algorithms either it's a like a specific or particular algorithm like bubble sort, or any of this algorithm falls into the category of this five paradigm, right? uh, you don't try to go for any other algorithm like something called nature inspired heuristic, not okay, because those things are not going to produce you the optimal solution. So at least with this assumption we are continuing that P is a subset of NP. This part first you understood, you remember that the problem world, the whole world problem, we divided into two category of in general it is NP, and out of which gradually the designers are designing or developing or proposing a new algorithm which is polynomial bound. So within the superset of NP we have a subset P, where P is NP is also subset of P that is not known. So that's why this is being treated as an open problem. If anyone is going to prove that, then this is the unsolvable problem which is the most challenging or open problem in computer science history is found to be solved. So with this hypothesis, people continue, researchers debate. So that's why sometimes the Venn diagram which is available for NP, NP complete, few people try to introduce co-NP, co-complete. So we are not going to analyze those things co-NP or co-NP complete, because that is not going to support any of our work. Mostly we confine, we talk about NP complete and NP hard. So now you see, if any problem is said to be NP complete, if every problem in NP can be reduced to the polynomial time, that means if you solve a particular problem, you can solve every problem in NP. So this is something when we try to prove um, that NP equal to P, this is the approach. So and another approach is that when we try to prove a particular problem to be NP complete, we are looking for a problem which is to be proved to be NP complete. So this is the first problem, is that is your a circuit satisfiability problem which is proved to be NP complete. I'll explain why. Since people are without knowing the solution, there are thousands of problems which are so far shown to be NP complete, and almost all of them are the research problems or we real world problems, and people are predominantly applying different heuristic methods and others to find out the solution. So let me tell you one thing. Yesterday we had a presentation of a student. We continue up to 8:30. Maybe next session onwards, I'll at least made it compulsory that all PhD students should attend that, because we are wasting good amount of energy when advising a particular student or two to three students, and that goes to uh, black box. It is not reaching with the other students. Suddenly you pick up two algorithm, you try to compare for a problem which is proved, or which you have not proved. Read a literature written there, traveling salesman problem is NP complete or NP hard, you start proposing algorithm. Then you are comparing two algorithms. Sometimes there is a fundamental mistake. Those two algorithms are not comparable like that. If you are comparing a heuristic, a recursive algorithm to iterative algorithm, you should not compare. And because if I try to compare three or four algorithms, their stopping criteria must be identical. Okay. So why I say so, when we talk about developing an algorithm, sometimes on implementation, we should take one family of algorithm and like that student, if possible, I'll share his presentation or a recording. He developed two algorithms and tried to compare with a random algorithm. So I recall this thing. This is going to happen with many people. Many of them try to compare their algorithm with a random algorithm. I know that boy has no information why he has compared with random algorithm. And I told you the argument, the random algorithm on average, it represents the average case. When you do not have any traditional algorithm or early algorithm proposed by the researcher, you can compare with a algorithm. Moreover, the problem which is NP complete and NP hard is, say there exists a algorithm which produces suboptimal solution, that is randomized algorithm. Okay, so one thing that when you try to compare with a randomized algorithm, people are writing random. I am comparing my algorithm M1, others algorithm O2, then they write the word random. Random is a particular term you are using, but you are not naming that algorithm. So that's why what was the suggestion, or he was rejected. He compared his proposed algorithm to two algorithms which he has not explicitly written in his presentation, and he has international publication also. Okay, so that is the reason it need to be written. Then interestingly, he was pointing out that his solution is try to find out is a mapping from a domain to range which is 2 to the power n. He tried to find out a appropriate mapping where range is 2 to the power n, domain is n. So that means he is targeting a problem where the solution space is exponential, but he do not have a treatment of that problem. Second, when he has written the particular algorithm, he has not mentioned anything about the complexity, nor he tried to say any word about the correctness of the algorithm. Okay, so these are the points which I have told from the beginning. I try to, and this type of evaluation definitely you will be faced when you try to do your thesis. I don't know how serious the MTech people are, because we are finding it is a wastage of energy. But even if out of 80 people, if 3 or 4 people is users, this is a satisfactory feedback. And remember that at that time I am not going to ask you this thing, other teachers will ask, and you have to prove it. Then only you will fit the need of why we are so much critical about this portion or studying this portion. Okay, now the task of proving that problem P2 is NP complete. When there was no problem, it was very challenging. And now once the first problem which is found to be NP complete, it becomes easy. Today I have uploaded one PDF document that is from one of the eminent Gemini professor. You can check on your portal, which includes the proofs. I have other proofs also. It becomes sometimes tough because it's a blackboard exercise. I have 7 proofs to discuss with you. So I have shared his note. He had been a guest faculty to IIITDM Kanjipuram. So I have copied that material and share with you just for your information. Go through that. Okay. Now the P1 is problem is NP complete when the task is for proving P2 is NP complete. This is all about what we are going to study. Like 3 SAT is NP complete. Traveling salesman problem is NP complete. How to prove that? Last class we have discussed that how to prove a problem to be NP complete. So you see, you pick up another problem P1 that known to be NP complete. You might question that from where I'll get the problem is NP complete, which is going to prove my problem. This is sometimes your skill, or typically we look into the hierarchy which is suggested by some of the experts, through which you can look into the hierarchy. You'll be finding, okay, my algorithm is coming under that hierarchy, and might be I'll take the help of that to prove. Uh, yeah, I have excluded that hierarchy from this presentation. Okay, fine. So maybe you try to prove a 3 SAT is to be NP complete. You take the help of uh, uh, SAT problem to be NP complete. Okay, so today we will try to discuss that how to prove the 3 SAT to be NP complete. Now, if you pick up another problem for the known to be NP complete, the question is where I'll get the problem which is NP complete. So either if you are looking into a graph type of representation, you try to look any graph problem is uh, proved to be NP complete. So now this is wide open. Suppose you try to prove that the minimum spanning tree or traveling salesman is NP complete. So which problem you will take in as a reference. Then you can apply a reduction. And I repeat again and again, reduction is a algorithm which is reducing the problem in polynomial time. So suppose you try to develop a algorithm for your problem, maybe placing of a wireless sensor nodes on a body. Let us say you are working on a IoT system, you talk about where to place the edge device. Then this is a graph problem. You take the help of a spanning tree or a traveling salesman problem and try to prove it. This will be definitely complemented because you are proving your problem to be NP complete. You see, there is not much hi-fi work or now not exceptional argument has to be done. It is something which you can write, make your report difference. If you can make your report difference, which is the only local skill to the computer science people. My personal suggestion, every thesis should do that, so it will look different. Let me tell you one open truth. When people look into the thesis of computer science people, there is a criticism. Even if you look into the report, there is a criticism that there is a lack of mathematical base or fundamental base. Electrical sciences people, they criticize. You look into our thesis, so many mathematics. We confront with them. We also show our quality thesis. You see, there are enough mathematics. Only the researcher, I mean the scholar, he understood 100%. Maybe his supervisor understood only 20%. Maybe an examiner which works in very core area, he understood. Otherwise, he also may be understanding 30% or 10%. It's like that. This is the way. But it puts you in a limelight. There is appreciation. So that's why this is the art, you can say. This is the art. You must learn to save your thesis. That's all I can say. I never find so far, even my research scholars also, they scared. They don't want to do it. But why? They are not doing it systematically. So I'm not insisting everybody to do. But we have faced, I mean, the people have got complimented, those who have used it properly and designed their thesis. Okay. Now, if you can pick up a problem P1 that is known to be NP complete, so then you say, how should I pick up a problem to be NP complete? There are some standard hierarchy. If you say my problem is a graph problem, my problem is a combinatorial problem, you can select any of this problem on that hierarchy, or there is a tree structure, and you say that problem is known to be NP complete. Now, what you need to do so that the P1, the problem which you have selected, can be reduced to P2, then P2 is NP complete. If this much of theoretical work, theorem proving you will add to your thesis, and you try to apply first time to a problem domain and say my problem is new, this only thing will be a contribution. Please remember this, by writing this algorithm, this will be a contribution. You can dedicate one chapter of your thesis for that with a correctness, with solution space, and proving that this problem is NP complete. And you can very well criticize the algorithm which were being proposed by the other people if they have not told anything about that algorithm. You may pick up a algorithm and criticize that the two algorithms which is compared is structurally mismatched. One is iterative, one is recursive. Why they are being compared? These are, again I say, these are your skill. I mean, it is only with the computer science people. I will share some experience. I told number of times people from electrical engineering, electronics engineering, their thesis after evaluation comes, there is some comment comes, they come in particularity also, and they ask me that how to reply this. And one of my professor who is a very eminent researcher, And suddenly he called me and two faculty members, maybe I can name even the present head of the Department of Electrical Engineering, Dean Faculty Affair, one of madam is there. They asked me, can you teach us what is NP complete? They are from electrical engineering. But it is sorry to say our people are not learning it properly and applying. And you will be finding many problems. Electronics people, they are mostly now working in hardware implementation for security system. And our people are saying we don't have any problem to do. So that's why number of times I request these things is your own skill, your domain skill. Nobody going to snatch the credit from you. So try to apply these things in proper place. In particular, I am telling you to, it's a must for the PhD students. It's a must for the PhD students. And slowly examiners are asking the question, what is the complexity of your algorithm? And if the two algorithms are complexity as equal, then why you will say this algorithm is better, right? So that's why this is one of the skill. If you prove your problem to be NP complete with reference to a problem, that can be a contribution. Okay, so we talk enough about the advice. I'll proceed only with the discussion. If you can show that one NP complete problem P can be solved in polynomial time, this yesterday what I try to show, the finding a prime number is not possible in polynomial time, but this IIT Kanpur group, they proved that the problem can be solved in polynomial time. That's why the statement of their papers is primes in P. Prime number can be found out in polynomial time. So if you prove that, then this is the result, P equal to NP. So that's why they are acknowledged, because they tried to prove it, and somewhat their argument is true. For few cases they are able to prove it, because all other problems can be reduced using a polynomial reduction, which means you are going to design a algorithm which bounded by polynomial that reduces, your existing NP complete problem to your problem. If you prove one problem in NP has a lower bound, one problem has a lower bound which is exponential, then you have proved that this is equal to NP. Somebody says that I have already proved. Excuse me, just 1 minute. I have an emergency clause, please. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So that means if the reverse case, he tried to reverse case. Suppose you prove one problem is in NP has a lower bound. Lower bound means what? Lower bound means what? When the problem is going to be solved. If you prove reversely that lower bound is exponential, or the finding a solution to this problem takes exponential time. Very simple example is a brute force algorithm. Your solution space size is 2 to the power n. Okay, 2 to the power n. Suppose you try to find out a shortest path across the 20 edges among the two vertex. So from A to B, you may have one edge. From A to B, you may have two edge. If the two edge, it may be permutation combination of that. Any combinatorial problem, if you prove that this particular algorithm, instead of finding the solution is less than 2 to the power n number of times, it tried to visit all the solutions, and instead of finding the solution, it is examining which is the best solution. Are you getting me? You are finding a solution rather than you are visiting all the solution and check that it is a solution or not. Let us look into a graph. Let us look into a graph, and which has got 4 vertex and 3 edges. So 4 vertex and 3 edges. So if I or maybe say, let us say 4 edges. You take a simple graph just like a square and connect that to the diagonal, and I try to examine a minimum spanning tree. What should I do for brute force method? What should I do for the brute force method? I have a graph with vertex A, B, C, D. So AB is connected, BC is connected. It's a complete graph. What should I do if I'll write a algorithm to find out the minimum spanning tree? I'll try to find out what are the all possible spanning tree. If I'll prove the all possible spanning trees are exponential, first I'll find out all possible spanning trees, or maybe for a graph, I'll find out all the subtrees. And out of all the subtrees, I try to find out the spanning tree. Let us say the graph AB is a subtree, a single edge is a subtree, ABAC is a subtree. So what I try to do, I will examine all the subtrees. So there are 2 to the power n number of subtrees. If I'll take, there is a finite number of edges, either you design in terms of edges on vertex. If you have written an algorithm, instead of finding a solution, if I am examining all the solution to find out how many spanning trees are there or a minimum spanning tree, then if that size is exponential, then the algorithm itself is exponential, because here we talk about the minimum number of comparison or time you can say a algorithm takes in examining all those possibilities before landing into the solution. Okay, but what is the conclusion? Solution is guaranteed. You are finding the solution in exponential time. This indirectly implies P is not equal to NP. So remember, sometimes people will ask you what you will do when you try to prove that P is NP not equal to NP. That means you say this is not being proved, but what about this? You can answer this is the way we can prove. Again, I repeat, you say the solution space is exponential. First prove that solution space is exponential. Then you are talking of a brute force algorithm which examines all possible solution nodes, and you find out, so let us say, minimum spanning tree, but the time taken is exponential because number of candidate solution is 2 to the power n. Okay. So now, now we come to the first introduction of the NP hard problem. They are the problem which cannot be checked in polynomial time. This is one of the crude definition you can memorize. Crude definition. What is the NP complete problem? The solution which can be verified in polynomial time. What is the NP hard problem? The solution cannot be verified in polynomial time. Simple example, you do not know what is the best algorithm to find out the spanning tree, but if I'll provide a spanning tree, you can verify in polynomial time. Can you write a algorithm to verify a graph whether it is a spanning tree or not? You have given a graph G and with n number of vertex and let us say m number of edges, and I am supplying you another graph G dash. Can you check whether it is a spanning tree or not? Yes. Yes, anyone can respond.
Yes, sir, it can be checked.
So
It should have n minus 1 edges.
Yes.
Fine,
And
but what will be the algorithm? How you are going to? I have given a graph. I have given a subgraph of that graph, right? Huh? You want to
yes, sir.
check. So what will be a crude algorithm without the loop? How much time it will take?
The
I have
order of n.
order of n. Yes, any other one? Order of n.
Sir.
So what you are going to check? What you are going to check? How we represent a spanning tree? You
So
tell
we
me.
can traverse.
Please. No traversal. First you see, when I am talking of a graph, I have my vertex are in the set V, right? And if it is a spanning tree, the V should be identical first. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If I look into the notation, let G be a graph, T be a spanning tree, so V is identical. And because we are not going to ignore the any element. So what should be the first check? Cardinality of V and the tree which you have supplied, let that will be V dash. So cardinality of V will be equal to V dash. Or you can check one by one to ensure that all the vertex are reflected in V dash. That is the first condition. Okay. Otherwise you can reject. Here you have 10 vertex and a spanning tree you have 8 vertex. So it cannot be a spanning tree. Reject it. Maybe text it then. If V matches, what you need to check?
Sir, we can match
Number
the
of edges.
cardinality of edges that should be n
That means,
minus 1.
yes, that means you are going to the edge set. My initial edge set is E. Second new edge set is E dash. So E dash has set up all those edges which are part of a spanning tree. Okay. So you are examining every edge. So that's why you say it will be order of n. That is correct. That means we are looking for algorithm. We have to write it with the appropriate data structure. How I am going to present. Will it be? Can you design algorithm that it will verify that the given graph is a spanning tree with order n minus n 1? Yes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If it is a spanning tree, it will be n minus 1. And somebody might supply me some set of edges which is not a spanning tree. How to do that?
By using this,
Yes, sir. What is the second check? Suppose
by
I
using
know
disjoints, we can have the time complexity of order of V plus E.
B plus, that is for the now first you come first check is that what should be the cardinality of E dash? Again, I
Should
repeat, E
n
dash
minus
is the
1.
n minus 1. Fine. That is the first check. Okay. First check. But it may be a spanning tree. It may not be a spanning tree.
There should
Right?
not be any cycle.
Yeah. So then we'll come to next. First check is that it should be n minus 1. Right. Next, you are going to check. Once you certified that your V equal to V dash means you have considered all the vertex. Right. Second, you are checking the cardinality of E dash is n minus 1. It may so happen that it might be containing a cycle. So your cycle checking algorithm is important. So what will be the complexity of a cycle checking algorithm? Any of you have come across
Sir,
algorithm?
we can use BST or BFS or DFS for checking the
BFS, you
cycle.
see what is the complexity of BFS and
E plus
BFS?
V.
No, any cycle checking algorithm. Number of times you are executing that algorithm, na? B plus E will be a big.
Tortoise hare algorithm.
Yes.
Tortoise hare algorithm.
Yes. There are specific algorithm to check the cycle formation. Or each and every time you make the edges and vertex to be 0 on a graph and continue with that. So the takeaway from this discussion is that there is a cycle checking algorithm. Okay. So when reading this type of slide, if you will not relate to the algorithm which is there, uh, memorizing definition, if somebody will ask you how, that will be a problem. So there are problems which cannot be checked in polynomial time. And first, this can be typically a optimization problem. Now, this is a problem. Can a given graph is colored with k colors? Okay, this problem is proved to be NP complete by the method of reducibility. Now, if three colors or four colors will be given and whether the graph can be colored, that cannot be checked in polynomial time. Got it? A problem is proved in the process of reduction to be polynomial. If an arbitrary solution is given, we cannot verify. So that is what are the minimum number of colors required to color a graph? That is NP hard. Okay, because we cannot verify in polynomial time. This is one of the example. So one should remember the problem statement of the graph coloring, and graph coloring is problem is one of the problem which is to be NP complete. One or two example you must remember. If you can solve an NP hard problem in polynomial time, then you can solve all the NP complete problem. So what happens with mostly during the thesis work and others, few people without understanding, even in the research paper, I'll show you, they write that the problem is NP hard. Fine, it is NP hard, so the reviewer accept that it's NP hard. Then they sometimes go on claiming very uh, difficult and impossible things that I have find out a solution to this problem. Got it? I have shown you many paper. One of my industrial engineering design professor sent someone, you help us. We are working on the robotic, multi-robot problem in a subfloor. Okay. So he come with a paper. The problem is NP hard. I say, you understood anything by NP hard? No, sir. What you try to do? No, there are multiple robots. We want to schedule that, and they will not collide in the subfloor. I say, my people are used to have this type of assignment in the lab class, because that problem is nothing but this type of problem. It's like something with the convex hull. So it's like that. If you say sometimes it's NP hard problem, you say for a limiting cases I have an algorithm. You never claim that for all instances you are going to produce a solution. Don't write that hard word. Ki I have solved the problem. I have developed an algorithm which which can be used to find out solution to certain inputs, some instances, not all the instances. Note that just because you solved in your dream, look into this word, this is not possible. That an NP hard problem is polynomial time doesn't mean that you can solve every problem in polynomial time. So it's a very hard statement if you have written my problem is NP hard. Now what is the observation? You have taken up a problem, you have mentioned NP hard. Some of your friend taken a problem, he has written NP complete. If you have written NP hard problem, in that way you compromise. And if somebody take an NP complete problem, he will proceed. But if the reviewer says this particular problem is proved to be NP hard, that is the reason you have to refer to the literature whether this type of problem is proved to be NP hard or not. Okay. Then if it is NP hard, then if we can solve a polynomial, that means indirectly it says there is no polynomial time exist algorithm exist for NP hard problem. Okay, so argument that if you take a problem, if you say there exist many algorithm where solutions can be checked in polynomial time, your NP hard problem is reduced to NP complete problem, you continue with that. I repeat again, you start with a problem. Maybe first time you come across that problem, you try to prove that this problem is NP complete. Simply write with some reference, this problem is NP complete. I am going to find out the solution for NP complete problem. So that somebody has proved that it's NP complete problem. The problem where the solutions can be verified in polynomial time that directly come into NP complete. First, the problem belongs to NP. You have a problem A which is belongs to NP. Then you are saying you may not have exact algorithm, but you can verify the solution in polynomial time. So your problem is NP complete. Write down this problem is NP complete and continue. Okay. So this is the difference between hard and complete. Verification is possible. First, it belongs to NP. For one set you can verify in polynomial time, for other set you cannot verify in polynomial time. You can find the minimum number of colors required for a graph in polynomial time. If you can definitely tell that graph can be colored with k colors, then it is NP complete. Otherwise it is NP hard. Since you have solved one NP complete problem in polynomial time, you can solve all NP complete. This is a repetition. So why it is important? Okay, so don't casually write my problem is NP hard or NP complete by referring to any other research paper. Try to convince yourself, collect the sufficient reference that X author has proved this problem is NP hard. So that actually comes from the definition of a problem. That means if you are defining a spanning tree problem, itself the spanning tree definition, I can claim these are the possible solutions. If I can verify my solutions in polynomial time, then it definitely comes into NP complete. Okay. It might be NP hard problem 10 years before, but somebody has going to develop a algorithm to verify the solution in polynomial time. Then maybe this day onwards, we call it as a NP complete problem. Okay, that's why that state of the diagram which I have shown you the initial case, that is the most accepted diagram, there are few problems for which we are not able to have an algorithm to verify in polynomial time. That's why NP hard, this problem exists outside the space. So this and some of the problems which are not even proved to be that it is not belongs to NP, so that also resides outside. So decidable problems are those which can be written in algorithm that we have discussed. These problems are called undecidable problem, that is maybe halting problem in particular. Okay, you do, and that is black tape problem. I'm not going to discuss. This is also comes from your automata. So just you can find our discussion with the halting problem. So halting problem, given a program and then input to the program. That means the automata is given, a set of input is given, determine if the program will eventually stop. It is an given input. That means if you try to parse that string, it will come to the goal state. Okay, so that is your halting problem. Now these are the few representation of the hard problem, how to dealing with the hard problem, what to do when you found a problem that looks to be hard. I cannot find a polynomial time algorithm, so I think I have discussed. It says I may be the 2 DOM, and then somebody is trying to prove there is a strong lower bound. There is a strong lower bound. What it means say? Sometimes we can prove a strong lower bound of a problem without knowing the algorithm. Strong lower bound or problem. So I could not find a polynomial time because no such algorithm exists. So now, if any, then the question comes, okay, you may not find out a polynomial time algorithm, but what is about the lower bound? And if you prove the lower bound, then you are going to verify it. The NP completeness allow collectively that the problem is hard. I cannot find a polynomial time algorithm, but others are not also going to find out the polynomial time algorithm. So it is still continue with the hard. So what we try to discuss, if a problem is proved to be NP complete, a good evidence of its intractability or the hardness is questioned. No waste time on trying find efficient algorithm if it is already proved. So we are going for suboptimal solution. Instead on design, focus on approximation algorithm or approximate algorithm. This approximate algorithm is not exactly telling you approximation algorithm. It is actually telling that you should go for an algorithm which produces suboptimal solution or a solution for special case. That is, for a particular instance, you have a polynomial time algorithm, but you do not have any general algorithm that solves the problem. Okay, so almost all the research work, as I said, it would like this. At this slide, we have discussed in the last class, and the how we are going to prove a problem to be NP complete. So now this is the approach what we try to study in the course. If the problem is NP complete problem, yes, we have dynamic optimization problems like 0-1 knapsack problem, spanning tree, finding shortest path. We try to have a dynamic programming algorithm where the solution space is exponential and complexity of this algorithms are very high. And we can do also backtracking and branch and bound technique. We can reduce the computational cost, but still the solution space is the exponential, and all these paradigms are gives us the optimal solution. But to find the subproblem of the original problem, have not a polynomial solution time is not possible in practice. So what we try to do, there are 3 approaches which is predominantly used. One is by designing approximation algorithm which terminates in polynomial time by producing a suboptimal solution. Similarly, the randomized algorithm to find out a affordable time being bounded by a polynomial time with high probability of the correctness. So high probability of the correctness, based on that, we have different classification of the algorithm, Monte Carlo, say, roulette, Las Vegas. And this is the particular things was asked to that students. You try to design a randomized algorithm. Does your randomized algorithm always produces a correct solution? Why not you have written your randomized algorithm? You say simply I am copying the algorithm. Maybe it like a simple greedy heuristic, and where you have made a choice, you take the help of the random number. So simple choice like greedy. This is coming under few examples: simulated annealing, quite popular based on the cooling down of the material and its behavior. Then the nature inspired algorithm like genetic algorithm, and this list is endless. This list is endless. All of them are produces suboptimal solution. So that's why our course content, I used to say, this is the section from which actually the course starts, and we try to look into the various paradigms so that we can find solution to the NP complete problem. Okay, some of the interesting observations. So this I have listed for some findings. So this NP hardness theory focuses on hardness, that how difficult the problem is in relation to the other NP problems. Okay, NP problems may include a hard problem, maybe a complete problem. It does not comment about the solvability of the problem, whereas NP is defined for the solvable problem. Got it? That is, this I am discussing in the context with that diagram. That's where some portion, the Venn diagram you must have seen. So P and NP, and another portion of NP hard is another circle, and part of that which is intersecting. Okay, so whereas NP is defined for solvable problem, establishing NP hard results does not imply the status of NP. NP are solvable problems, but we do not have any known polynomial algorithm for that. For known polynomial, it comes to, for no known polynomial algorithm goes to NP. Okay, this is so I am justifying that diagram from on which we are discussing. So unsolvable problems such as halting problem or post correspondence problems are NP hard, as there is a reduction from 3 SAT, but they do not belongs to NP. It do not belongs to NP because the solution cannot be obtained. There is no upper bound that when I mean how many trials you should perform. Okay, all the problems in NP have a trivial deterministic algorithm, typically runs in time exponential in the input size. Therefore, every problem is NP is solvable. Very simple example is your 0-1 knapsack problem, let us say, or you take any algorithm for which you have developed a dynamic programming algorithm, and you'll be finding many dynamic programming algorithm. When we try to find out the complexity, we either we say it's n factorial 2 to the power n, it's like that. Okay, so that is belongs to the NP family, but it takes a exponential time to depending on the input side. Does not mean that, or does not say that for 3 or 4 items you are having a considerable less amount of time to solve. And then a problem is NP complete if it is NP hard and belong to the set NP. This is the another say, if you look into the diagram, the NP complete portion, the problem is a subset taken from NP hard, and that again lies on the lies in that particular NP. You see, this diagram I am all trying to explain, and this is the portion initially belongs to the NP hard, but it has a that can be verified. That can be verified, and algorithms are possible. Exponential algorithms are possible in NP. Okay, so and this shows that NP complete problem are the most difficult problem in NP, and solving one efficiently was yield the efficient solution to every other problem. That is obviously because of the reducibility. Since a set of decision problems more than the set of optimization problem, the study of NP theory focuses on the set of decision problems. Moreover, the black box technique helps to obtain the solution to the optimization problem, incurring a polynomial time effort. This application applicable to some of the problems where solutions are designed when no paradigm, no NP theory was existing, but people have the solution to those problems. So many interesting problems such like sorting, matrix multiplication, finding the square root of a number are polynomial time solvable. However, they are not in class of P, as this problem do not have a corresponding decision version. You see, this is a very interesting observation. Let us say matrix multiplication. What is the decision there? I already told you example of a decision problem. Is there any 3-digit prime number? Is there any minimum spanning tree? Either you can answer yes or no. If you answer yes, then I ask how many spanning trees? You say 3, then the answer is go for brute force method. If you answer says sir, there will be exponential number of spanning tree or n factorial spanning tree, or like traveling salesman problem, n factorial 2 to the power n number of tours are possible, then do you have a polynomial time algorithm to solve this problem? Because you already told number of solution is n factorial into 2 to the power of n. So these particular problems, there is matrix multiplication is a method and it is not a decision problem. Finding a square root of a number, you have given a number, the square root has to be find out. There is no situation that every time you are going to get the answer yes. You multiply any two matrix, you will get a matrix. Yes, please. Anyone is asking?
Yes, sir. So can you
Yes.
explain matrix multiplication one more time? Like
You see,
you said that
you see matrix. Is there any? Let us say I try to multiply two matrix, and our objective is to prove that it is not a decision problem. What is a decision problem? When we try to find out a solution, every time we will multiply the matrix, it will result in another matrix, right? We are going by a value. That means I can say I am multiplying to the matrix, I am finding another matrix. But when I compare to a problem like this, that from a graph you pick up a spanning tree or pick up a subtree, you try to check that whether it is a spanning tree. Answer is yes or no. But matrix, what is the possible solution? Is there any solution space? There is no alternate solution. There is one solution only. There is only one solution. Because the row and column is to be multiplied, this is a method. Because number of multiplication express is expressed in terms of n, so you have complexity of n cube. So there is no decision component involved. You take any example generating 4-digit prime number. Before attending the problem, you are checking whether 4-digit prime number is there or not. If answer is no, we stop there. If answer is yes, then we say how many. If there are 3 and 4, we say go for the brute force method. If you say the number, the number of 4-digit prime number is large enough, so we are looking for an efficient algorithm. Why? I can use brute force, but number of candidate is exponential, and I am looking for a largest 4-digit prime number. So I am looking for an algorithm which can find out largest 4-digit prime number. I could have done that by a brute force method by examining, but that is exponential. So such situation is not there in the sorting, not there in matrix multiplication and finding a square root. These are numerical value you are computing. Okay. There is no yes, no. There is always a value. Okay. So that's why these are not the decision problem, but have a polynomial time algorithm. That is the reason says, suppose you have some problems in P, does not mean that this will never come to the other part NP on any exceptional case. Okay, so this thing because of the complicacy, what I decided I'll skip. I am not continuing much with the language portions for you, and we are rather than look into the polynomial time algorithm for which we have the conventional paradigms, and this is something widely acceptable thing. I think if you look into the hardness in terms of the complexity, or you can say the more effort is required or the complexity is too high, we have two space. One is hard, one is P. People are trying to bring more problem from the hard to complete. And maybe we will be finding that this hard will be after few days might be the hard will be observed within the NP. Once it will observe within the NP, so it will be only termed as the NP. Okay. So please try to read that. Sometimes I know it's difficult, and okay, before I will look into the other aspects. You see, this is the something which is a very easy to memorize, and you can distinguish. People used to ask, and they ask very casually, what is NP hard? What is NP complete? Maybe they know the definition, may not know the definition. You see, P is a problem solvable in polynomial time, and then comes the verification. We can verify the solution in polynomial time both for P, both for NP, and both for NP complete, right? And moreover, you see, NP complete is a subset of NP. Fine. But when you reduced any problem in polynomial time, that means for NP hard problem, I cannot verify the solution in polynomial time. Reduce the NP problem in polynomial time. You can, if you try to reduce existing NP problem, can be reduced to another problem in polynomial time. Answer is yes. Also for NP hard problem, we can reduce a problem, NP hard problem, in polynomial time to the other problem. Okay. So reducibility is applicable for both the things. This is the most precise way. I mean, you can explain, you can define so that it will be easy. Now, how to solve? This is the main agenda of the chapter 6 to 7 problem. You have to learn the proof, how to prove the problem to be NP complete. So the problem X is NP complete is the intention to prove the problems in NP. Okay, and then if you there exists a certificate of polynomial length. And what is a certificate? You look into 0-1 knapsack problem. For 3 items, it is x1, x2, x3. And if you look into the value, it may be 111 or 100. Okay. And that means that is possible. That combination is possible. The certificate can be verified in polynomial time. That means if you select a 0-1 knapsack problem, maybe 100, and you can say yes. This by selecting first item, not selecting second and third item, it is a valid solution for me, right? Now, this is the problem is in NP, and when you come to the problem, the initial problem is belongs to NP hard, that comes from the definition. So there exists a y belongs to NP, that means a problem belongs to NP, so that the y, this is the symbol for reducibility. Please have a look. This less than equal to written P is the symbol of reducibility, that is for every y. That is for every y belongs to that, this particular thing is reducible. The problem X will be reducible to that. And if you are going to do that, that if there exists algorithm phi that converts input of y to the input of X, that exactly you design an algorithm which does the transformation, then exists a asymmetric between yes and no input. So this is for our proving you need the upper part. So this is the approach through which we prove, and this is the another way when you try to check when you have a polynomial time algorithm for a problem, the problem represented as a pi. This whole set they try to cover the complete family of the problem. If there is a polynomial time optimal algorithm for pi, answer is yes, this is polynomially solvable. That is belongs to P. Otherwise, no. Is there any problem? P belongs to NP complete such that this is again we look into the reducibility. If the answer is yes, then P is strongly NP complete, that we know we can reduce the problem, a given problem, to the our problem P. Pi is our problem, P is the previous problem which is belongs to be NP complete. If you are able to reduce it, P is strongly NP complete. If you are not going to do that, the complexity status of pi is open, because it is waiting for the proof. Somebody should come prove it is NP hard or definitely not the NP complete, because you attempted to reduce P to pi, but somebody might be attempted from another problem and prove that it is NP complete. So again it goes, once this is strongly NP complete, then the reducibility implies the pi is also NP complete, strongly NP complete. If there is a pseudo polynomial optimal algorithm for pi, suppose somewhat it is developed, then without any proof, but somebody has proposed a polynomial time algorithm, then also we have two solutions. pi is ordinary NP complete and pi is belongs to the NP complete problem, but exact status is open because for a limiting cases, a algorithm is going to find out the solution in polynomial time. So this is the mostly the real world problem. It looks into this towards the right hand side where we have more debate on that how to design the solution. Like the common belief relationship when we talk about take two problem A and B, both are NP problem initially, then we use the same definition NP hard, NP complete, and try to examine the problem. So this is the concept which we, and there is a list of NP complete problems which are taken as the reference problem. I already told the credit goes to Garay and Johnson. I think I have shared their most last recent article which is being shared because it's a very old book, you see, written in the 1979, but the concept and the claim are highly relevant even in the present context. So that's why every researcher has a escape. They give a reference of this book in their reference article and they say problem is NP complete, so that nobody is going to question. But definitely it can be questioned because the researcher might not have gone through that. We'll have a more discussion on this. But when I tried to prove, yeah, in fact, I was looking for this tree. This also varies from author to author. This is a reference structure of NP complete problem. Suppose you are in an abstract problem, so you take the help of subset sum, which is proved to be NP complete, or you try to prove TSP to be NP complete, you take the help of Hamiltonian problem, and I try to prove my spanning tree to be NP complete. I may take the help of the TSP, or I may directly take the help of the Hamiltonian problem. So these are the hierarchy which is typically used, and it is the designer's choice which NP complete problem he will assume to prove his problem to be NP complete. Okay, and
Sir?
This yes.
Sir, in
Yes,
the
please.
traveling salesman problem, what will be
Yes.
the decision? Suppose I have a loop from a city A and then returning to that city. So what will
No,
be the
decision
decision
is
problem?
yes, fine. Decision is like this. So without looking into decision is not comes in the process of solving. Let us say you have a complete graph, right? You have a complete graph. Let us take 4 vertex, a square, and diagonals are connected. Got it? I am looking for a graph where 4 vertex are there and it's a square. Are you getting me?
Yes.
What I try to say, I have taken
Yes.
a graph. I have taken a graph with only the four vertex are there. Okay, just I'm drawing for your reference, and maybe I try to draw it quickly. Maybe it's a not as okay. Sorry, maybe I'll do it another way. So let us we are completing with a 4 vertex, and how many such subtrees are possible, which are the solutions. Now look into the solution space. What will be the solution space? Let us say this is the graph. Okay, what will be the solution space? If I number them as A, B, C, D, right? What are the possible tours? You tell me.
Sir, A, B, C, D, A.
So just for this graph, it may be all our tours. I randomly pick up a sequence, let us say A, B, C, D. Another tour might be B, C, D, A. So you take all the permutation combinations, right? Huh? First I am checking each ABCD is a tour. Each ABCD is a tour. Okay, we will remove this diagonal, and I'm just naming them a particular alphabets. Let us say the first upper edge is A, and maybe, okay, maybe whiteboard will be the good for me. So here your decision problem is, here your let this be a, okay. So what is a decision problem? If I'll take the combination of this thing, all the vertex, and I try to check whether that is a tour or not. That is a decision problem. And when, so are you in a position to verify that is a tour or not? Suppose I have, so what are the, if theoretically it is a combinatorial problem, so what are the possible solutions? You name this as for your ABCD. What are the possible solutions? First you tell me. It takes all the permutation combinations. So you take out of this, you have taken ABCD. Suppose I am asking, is ABCD is a tour? Your answer will be either yes or no with reference to a particular graph. So it is a decision problem. Agreed or not? Or you have any other argument? Hello?
Sir, yes, sir.
Mm.
Sir, in TSP, we have to verify whether the the tour is
Let us
minimum or not. So
no,
how
that
can we
is the
verify it?
No. Listen. First, you understood the representation of a problem. You represent the problem. Okay. Represent the problem. Suppose I have given you a tour. First, you are checking whether it is a tour or not. First step is that if I supply a combination, first you are verifying it is a tour or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
First you are verifying it's a tour or not. Let us say the combination ABCD. First you are checking it is tour or not. How you are checking does not matter. We'll come to that. If it is a tour, what is my basic objective of the problem? I want the minimum tour. I want a minimum tour or not? I want a tour which
Yes,
cost
sir.
is minimum. So how many such combinations are possible for a traveling salesman problem? If I have n number of vertex, if I have n number of vertex, what is that set where some are tour, some are not tour? What is that set? Maybe it is a complete graph, maybe it is not, it's not a complete graph. What is the solution space? Do you know that? Please verify.
No,
That's
sir.
why say problem is to be defined. It will be n factorial 2 to the power of n. Some of the books they put it as exercise, prove that the solution space is n factorial 2 to the power of n. Now, out of which few are solution, few are not the solution, and again you are looking for the minimum spanning tree. So what you can do in a brute force method, you can go on verifying. First solution is a tour, what is the cost? Second solution is a tour, answer is yes, what is the cost? And if you will examine all possible combination and you find out the minimum one. And why it is not polynomial? Because the solution space you say it is exponential, 2 to the power of n factor is involved. That's why we are looking for a polynomial time algorithm. Yes, traveling salesman problem is a decision problem. If you have argument that you can prove this problem is not a decision problem, just like we have discussed in the matrix and others, we cannot say this belongs to the family P if we had any polynomial time algorithm. Okay.
Sir, so how is it NP complete?
Yes.
Means not
Yes,
NP hard.
Yes, NP complete, we have a complete proof. We'll start with the concept of the reducibility, and this is one of the thing I am going to discuss, that traveling salesman problem is NP complete. Okay, it's a maybe 2-page, 3-page derivation. Sometimes it depends on the author. Please have a look into that one of the example how it proceeds. This is the steps I have explained you 1, 2, 3, 4. So here what we try to prove that 3 SAT is NP complete. So it start with the SAT problem definition, and the step 1 is first starts. What is the step 1 exactly? The step 1, we are first try to prove that the problem is in NP. The problem is, that's why you say 3 SAT problem is in NP, since any assignment value to a variable can be verified in polynomial time. That is the step number 1. Whenever we try to prove a problem to be NP complete, I'll write it because it's a rigorous blackboard, but I'll able to do it. I have to spend little bit of good amount of time to do that. You see, step number 1, you try to prove that the traveling salesman to problem to be NP complete. The problem U is the traveling salesman problem. So step number 1, you have to show that U is in NP. And look into this example problem, a 3 SAT problem, how the problem is proved to be step number 1. Here it is saying the step number 1, 3 SAT problem in NP since any assignment, that is just compare like a 0-1 knapsack problem 101 can be verified in polynomial time. You try to check that for a 0-1 knapsack problem 101 is a solution or not. You are selected first item, not selected second item, selected third item. Can it be a solution? Can it be verified? Yes, it will be verified in polynomial time because my problem definition has says I have a weight available, so I can say if the W1 plus W3 is less than W, then this is a solution. So it can be, and almost all verifications are in linear time. The same what we discussed, verifying a spanning tree, verifying a tour. If you could have done that for an arbitrary combination, then first you are proving your problem is belongs to NP. Okay, then it goes. This is a typical snapshot how the proof goes, and finally it proves this is to be NP complete. The same way, just try to go through that. There is some simple argument, and we have around 7 problems which is to be proved to be NP complete. Okay, so we'll do that. Definitely TSP will do that. But initial proving SAT is NP complete is a very long one. Traveling salesman problem is NP complete, little bit of short. We will complete, and there are 7-8 problems. Okay, that will do that. So that is must. TSP similarly, how you prove that TSP is belongs to NP? Any argument? Please try to say something. How you prove TSP is NP?
Sir, because its solution space is
no, very simple. Very simple. Given a sequence of n cities, can you verify that? Can you verify that? What we calculate in TSP? First, we verify that it is covering all cities. Yes. Second, you can it is possible to add the sum of the edges so that you can have a value. So is it possible to do that in polynomial time? I have given you a combination of cities. A graph is given. Can you verify this is a tour or not? If you verify it is a tour, then that is says this is if what is the definition says? If verification is possible in polynomial time, then it belongs to one of the criteria, first criteria. Then we go to second, third, fourth. So that it will be strongly. The first solution is, you see, U is in NP. That it is verifiable in polynomial time. Second, we go for a V, then try to reduce the V to U. And third, fourth, we show in that reduction process is a polynomial time. So only 2 lines you need to write for a TSP problem. If you get a sequence of n cities, we are going to prove that it is possible to check that those vertex are appear once only and in a order, so that it is it is produces a tour. In addition to that also I can calculate what is the cost of the tour. Okay, then which problem you are going to select? You have to select, I have just shown you the hierarchy. You have to select which one. Look into the bottom part. this you have to select Hamiltonian cycle. So Hamiltonian cycle is proved to be NP complete. Now what you need to do, you have to apply the reducibility. So your problem is TSP, you have to explicitly write a polynomial time algorithm so that that particular problem is reduced to the TSP. Okay, so this is the steps we are going to discuss. We will also use Hamiltonian cycle to prove that is to be NP complete. Okay. So we need to say that this reduction is carried out in polynomial time. That is much important. So we'll stop with this, and the next class onwards we'll have a proof. Maybe we can start with TSP first. So please go through the standard problem definitions, click, set cover, subset sum, Hamiltonian cycle. I think knapsack we have discussed, TSP problem statement. You can take help of any other books, but mathematical modeling is required, then vertex cover. Okay, so I'll update the slides because I think last night when I have uploaded, after that also I have added few things. I'll just update immediately after your class. Okay, we close the discussion. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Sir. So in slide number 60, in the last row in the table, it was written reducibility holds for NP hard and NP completeness. Sir,
Yes,
can you
yes,
please explain that row again?
Yes, it holds because the way you reduce the way you reduce the NP complete problem from existing NP complete problem, the similar approach also can be followed for NP hard. That's all. The way we try to prove a problem. Now you might be questioning how I will prove a problem to be NP hard. Then we can use the similar approach, that if the reducibility holds, then we can reduce existing NP hard problem to the another problem. We can prove it to be the NP hard. Okay. Reducibility is the property which is wished to prove. Right?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, in the home assignment that you have given, in the question, the second question, there is written that you have to determine the expected value and give the explanation for your derivation. So we have to give only a mathematical proof. There is no algorithm and anything else we have to put there.
No. You have to give the argument, or let us say mathematical derivation or a theoretical explanation will do. But sometimes we need an algorithm to put the argument. Okay. Algorithm,
Yes,
definitely algorithm is there in the backend because this is all are related to the randomized algorithm.
Because there is it is asking for an expected value and
right.
just and asks a derivation for that and explanation how we get that expected value.
That is the algorithm. That is the randomized algorithm which you plan or which you are suggesting. And expected value will say, suppose I try to calculate a pi value and I am getting something expected value and not try to reach it with the pi. It is something like that. Okay. Because that is because of your random decision.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll stop with this. Huh? Thank you. Maybe I'll ready to take your question. In the next class, you must ask something related to this NP completeness. Okay, in fact, I was searching to explain you the TSP. You see the dynamic, we have n square to the power of n, but in fact, in the brute force, we have n factorial. Then we try to develop a polynomial time algorithm so that we can have a approximation solution or sort of with bit of compromise, but complexity will be reduced, right? So remember that there are good number of problems for which we have dynamic programming algorithm, but with this complexity. I mean, somewhere exponential term will be there. Okay.